on the 23rd
We're live.
of September.
All right, so I would like to call for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And
Madam Chair, I would move that we seal the minutes of the preceding non-public session until such time as the majority of the board is wise and prudent to unseal them.
Check.
Except to announce the evals. You don't do that?
well, they haven't been informed yet.
Right, come on,
With the exclusion of...
you're right.
They haven't been
No,
informed.
you're right,
No, they haven't been,
sorry.
oh, yeah.
Yes, with the exception of informing the bookkeeper of any HR information that is pertinent to be disseminated.
Okay, that's good.
Seconded by Larry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I forgot my folders. Shoot. All right, so our first item, if I recall correctly, is the rescue station sprinkler update. We do not have our construction manager here this evening. I believe there is no update from the last update that we had. So we're just going to move forward. Our next item is an intent to cut timber for map 13, block 3, lot 13. And as I said, I left the folders downstairs.
Oh, you want me to go get them?
Please.
Just so you know, that's the third one that we were waiting for.
All right, so we need, I'm sure everyone had a chance to review it in the folder, so we just need a motion to sign.
Move to sign the, let me get my paper back. The,
Intent to cut.
thank you, for map 13-3-13.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Uh,
Aye.
That's unanimous. We want to review our next item is the tax map conversion from paper to digital format. This is going to essentially cost us a little bit of, well, quite a bit of a hit, actually. The company that does our tax map conversions has sent us a letter stating that we are one of the few towns that are still on paper format, basically, and they will stop supporting towns that are on paper format. So we as a town will need to get ourselves into the 20th century with our maps.
By 2021.
Right, thank you. So, Nancy, would you like to pick up on that topic?
Yeah, I guess we have to come up with a plan on how to make this happen. I've tried several years to get money for tax map updates.
And the cost of these tax map updates are?
I'm not exactly sure. I think Jim talked to RPC, and he said 68,000 or more,
Right.
depending on the town, I think.
Is it a one-time deal?
Parcels. Huh?
One-time deal?
No, it's,
I think you
for the
have to
town,
update.
the town didn't know, this was a 3-year-old number. It was in the upper 60s to around $70,000. Plus you have to do an annual maintenance for,
New
you know,
plan.
any subdivisions, lot line adjustments, all of that have to be configured in.
Yep.
Have to remember that we're gonna go from a flat earth map, the paper maps, to a digital map, which actually has to, they actually have to fit the properties in accordance with their deeded record. Right at the moment, you look at our tax map and It's accurate to a certain percentage, however, when you're doing it digitally, you actually have to sit there and plot out every corner in
Probably
accordance with its,
more
what its GIS format is.
So we need bids.
Yeah, so it originally, for Kate being new, originally they had taken our Mylars and uploaded them into a digital editing software.
No,
Yeah.
the Mylars ended up getting old and brittle, so they started working with the paper copies, and they would erase and draw on the new.
Yeah, but the ones that were there, they used the digital software to maintain the ones that.
No,
Yes,
right.
it's what it says in the letter.
I thought it said they didn't have anybody to do the paper.
No, with client,
Approval.
with client approval, we scan the original Mylars and now use image editing software to maintain them. Although image editing software continues to evolve and has great capabilities, the technology is not conducive to efficient maintenance of tax maps and does not provide for the capabilities available with the GIS software. So the company is moving away from the digital editing software, the imaging editing software, and going to a true, and sticking with just the GIS software. Because it's more accurate, it's easy to use, it's more efficient, you know, it just makes sense
And
for them.
I don't know, it's nice where he says, it has never been more affordable to convert map data, so hopefully that will be the case.
So part of what we're going to have to do is see, they do say they will be contacting us to discuss the situation and help us determine how we want to proceed. I'm anticipating that they will give us an idea as to some costs, but I think now is the time to actually even perhaps go out to bid, find out if there are any others that can work with what we have. And if not, you know, we can't just stick with this company if we have to go through this conversion, you know? Who's gonna, if we have no option but to convert, then we need to find companies, you know, go out to bid.
I
And
think we should do that right away.
Yep.
And
I-
maybe start with the Warren article or whatever.
Because we, you know, if we can get it in there for March, we'd be better off. And then if it fails, we can try a little harder for the following year. But it'll give us a chance to see what was it that people objected to the most and, you know, perhaps, you know, get more information out there. We're going to have more time than usual to inform the public as to why this is needed, you know. This isn't a, you know, fur coat or something like this. This is, you know, why do we need these tax maps? What do they do for the town? You know, so, and we have to justify the expense.
I can contact the RPC and find out if it's a service that they offer.
Do they have grants or anything, Jim?
Well, I was just going to say, I
Googling
can
that.
find, I know there were some grants for digitizing tax maps a couple of years ago. I don't know.
I don't see any
I can call
Okay.
and find out.
All right, so this is to give everyone a heads up early. This is going to become a big issue within the next 2 years. By addressing it now, or starting to address it now, we're not going to find ourselves in a crunch and, you know, desperately seeking something in 2 years. So our next item, unless anybody else has any comments, questions? All right, we are on to reviewing the 2020 proposed budget schedule. So as we all know, we are into the budget season soon. Seems like yesterday. So has everyone had a chance to look at our budget calendar?
By the way, just so you know, the link on the agenda,
Goes to the cable.
yeah, it goes to a cable
Oh.
budget.
It just so happens that the cable budget is ready if you want to
Yeah.
review it.
It's good to know.
However, it's
So is it in here
Yes, it's
somewhere?
in that,
where?
if you just go up one level,
Oh, okay.
Level from,
Oh, yes, under
go
the
to-
budget itself, yeah.
yeah, so you'll go to the
2020 proposed budgets has a budget submission schedule Word doc in it.
Yeah,
Kim didn't send them out yet, did she?
no,
2020
She's waiting
proposed
for you
budget.
guys to decide on the scheduling. And I think one more pay period or whatever.
Wait, which one?
so
2020 proposed budget.
2019,
So Kate, to fill
Right
you
here.
in, what we like to do is we like to stagger the departments to come in with their budgets, so we're not waiting till the last minute to get them all in and trying to review them.
So we're going to review cable mail?
So, no, we're not going to, Diane was just letting us know that it was ready for us, not that we were reviewing it tonight. But because it is ready, it is also one of the first ones for the first suggested day. So in the schedule, it is,
Yeah, got it.
this is a suggested, October 24th, submit the completed budget worksheets. October 29th, we have a budget meeting on my birthday. Oh, Selectmen's
Love a
meeting.
cake.
Oh, it's an extra meeting, okay, that's why.
There it is.
So this would be Cable Committee, Cemetery Trustees,
I'll let you do the cable
Conservation.
committee tonight.
No, the 29th. So Cable, Cemetery, Conservation, Forest Fire, Planning Board, Welfare, and ZBA. And then the following week, the 31st, they have to have their budgets into us. And then on the 5th, we would do Building Department, Elections, Registrations, Vital Statistics, Emergency Management, Library, Tax Collector. November 14th, and then review on the 19th. Health Officer, Highway, Recreation, Tree Warden, Transfer Station. November 27th, is that a Tuesday?
They're all
You know,
Tuesdays,
you're
I believe.
batting 2 for
27th is
2
a
this year.
Wednesday.
So fine.
First you got me on my birthday, now you've got me on my anniversary.
November
Good for me.
27th is a
What are,
Wednesday.
what are your kids' birthdays? Can we get those so we can fill those in?
They're done.
Okay,
Well,
good.
December 3rd is when you would have the meeting.
Yeah, I know, I'm just, I see
Oh,
the November 27th, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's my anniversary date. Okay, Executive Financial Administration, Fire Department, General Government, Legal, Town Assessor, then December 12th for the submission, and December 17th for the review. There is nothing that allows any leeway, seeing how the insurance, personnel, police, street, and West Nile virus, I mean, these are on our December 17th meeting, okay? So we pretty much need to have these locked down. So these cannot be extended beyond and going into 2020.
Right.
That's kind of where I'm going with this.
I will move to adopt the budget meeting schedule as presented and carve it in marble.
Excuse me, marbled, you say?
Marble carpet.
We might
Oh.
not be able to afford
Well,
marble on the budget.
Figurative.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Any stone will do.
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think what's going to happen is if we don't have their budget, then the Board of Selectmen will set the budget for them.
That
And-
was going to be my comment. I mean, that, the motion has to remain clean.
Yes.
I'll second the motion for discussion, and I would also advise, and I'm sure they're all listening to me right now, that department heads have to look at the number in red, or the date in red.
Yeah.
That says October 24th, for
theirs.
example, submit complete budget worksheets. It's October 24th, it's not the 25th, the 26th, 27th, the morning of the 29th, it's October 24th.
Exactly.
And that's the way it has to be. We lose, every year, we lose our schedule
Because we're
people aren't
waiting.
ready.
Yep, because
And-
we're waiting for these
Yeah.
to be submitted. And they need to submit it so that we have time to actually review it.
Or they
And-
were Colton or something.
And I can speak from experience, and I'm sure the board will back me up, when we have time to review them, it's quick and painless in this room. It probably takes us maybe 10 minutes to review each of the, the mid-sized to lower-sized budgets because we've had our time to review,
Exactly.
so.
And the,
Oh, they all have this, right? It's all been sent to them.
Not yet.
Oh, not
We-
yet.
We're
Well,
getting
approving
board's
it to be sent.
approval.
Right, we are,
Want to make sure
Well,
you
they'll be
agree.
notified soon.
we're adopting the
they're
schedule so
castigated.
it can go out.
And all department heads will be required to be here to discuss their budget.
If there are increases in their budgets,
Well, even if there isn't, don't you want to be able to ask questions of the department head?
yeah, I would like to see a representative from that department, not necessarily the department head, but anyone who can speak to the budget and the expenditures. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, because we always seem to have questions that nobody can answer unless they're.
Department head
Yep.
would be ideal for a
actually,
budget.
for the most part, in years
Right, but
past,
in a larger, let's say, a tax collector, it could be Mary Jo or it could be Cheryl. I mean, Cheryl is likely just as knowledgeable, and Mary Jo would make sure she would be, so she could come in.
Okay, great.
Library trustees, same thing, there are 3 trustees. You don't need the chair of the trustees, you can take any one of the trustees.
Okay,
That sort of thing there.
okay. Do we need a motion for this?
Jim made the motion
There is
to
a
adopt
motion
it.
to adopt this
And it was
schedule.
Second.
it was already seconded by Matt,
we're
which is why we're
discussing.
having our discussion. So with no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I do want to thank whoever made the list that got a lot of little ones, and the big ones are not all on the same night.
So do you think you'll need the bookkeeper to be here for any of these, or only as needed?
I think last year she came at the end when we rolled it all up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that.
So on the initial review of these budgets, I'd say no as well. Because she'll see that we have the latest and greatest as far as the expenditures are concerned.
Yep.
So that'll work.
She doesn't need to come to every selectmen's meeting. All 5 of us have that sentence alone.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, and sorry, these 2 as well.
I was just going to say, the ones that do the most work.
Yeah.
We're all in it together.
Yeah.
All right, electric message board usage.
So that was my item. Basically, I just want to make sure I have the correct guidance, is that I sent out a poll this past week and an email, and I only had 2 responses, so I couldn't do anything about it. I was wondering if the electronic message board can be used by a nonprofit organization to advertise something that they're doing some kind of fundraising, or do you want it strictly to be used for town purposes only?
My quick opinion would be town purposes only, and I think we should restrict the town purposes, because when I see one of those things, it's orange, it's bright, I'm expecting to see a road closure or, get your cars off the street, because there's a storm coming, that sort of stuff. I don't expect to see, bake sale type items on there, and I think we provide enough for those nonprofits. We put it on our website and we put it on cable and.
I don't think,
see it
I don't think it's, are you talking about the one that
Friends of?
EMD got the grant for, or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
No?
So just strictly town purposes, so,
And even then, it's not a, hey, the 5K race is coming.
Exactly, yeah.
okay, so then don't
Why?
advertise like the recreation events.
On that one, correct.
Do we have
Now, the
another
other message board, like the one that's at 2 Amesbury Road,
The magnetic one.
that
Oh,
one's
that
okay.
little thing?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Now, that's okay for the other town business.
Okay, so the electronic board is strictly just,
Emergency or time-sensitive information.
okay.
Is it being used a lot?
Well, I've been trying to use
Old
it.
Home Day was an emergency.
It was
Right, I
there.
had that on
I
there.
think Diane's
I
got a
like that.
couple of requests. We want to nip it in the bud right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is.
But like when Smith Corner Road was blocked off?
Right, and that takes priority over anything.
yeah.
I don't really care who uses it, we should use it.
I think we
Either
should
that or
use
it's gonna
it.
sit in the Butler Building.
I thi-
I'm kind of feeling
But
like
I think there's a
Larry here.
hierarchy, and, you know, the most important stuff is that emergency type stuff.
Absolutely. That's what I
But-
told Diane,
but
yeah.
But as far as the private nonprofits, that's like
Okay.
not
Okay, but-
even on the radar screen to me, because like I said, we have other ways to help them get the word out. I wouldn't want to kind of saturate the use of that.
I would like to distinguish, though, that between a private nonprofit and a Friends of, which is a nonprofit specifically to help a town committee. That's the only thing they are, that has a different standing than a nonprofit that doesn't, that we could use
It's
that.
not for a town committee.
Oh, I thought the Friends of the Playground, the Friends of the Recreation Committee.
Has nothing to do with the town of Newton.
Nope.
The Friends of the Recreation
They're
Committee does not
just-
have anything to do with
They
it.
the
are
town.
a
Under
group
the
of
auspices.
residents who have decided to do, the town has no control, no authority, no nothing with this group.
But haven't we had Friends of with certain groups, certain committees
There's,
before?
no, I mean,
mean, in
there's
the-
the Friends of, or the associations, for example, because there's a fire
Recreation, for example.
association as well as an example, is not governed or covered under anything to do with the town. These are nonprofits that are designed so that they can do their thing for their passion and decide where any money goes if they do fundraising, because the town cannot do fundraising.
Right, that's why I thought, like, if
But other
Newton, Friends
people
of
can.
Newton Fire can raise money for the fire department, for example.
Correct. Well,
That
they
it-
can
it's-
raise money and then donate it to the town with specific instructions as to where those funds should be applied.
Right, I was just thinking that if there's an organization that is designed to donate funds to our town, that would be a different thing, a different,
And not in the eyes of the law.
If you do it for
for
one,
me, for the purpose of using the sign that's not being used, that if you have a hierarchy of the only people in the town who can use it, other than all these reasons, would be someone who's raising money for, specifically for the town.
Okay, well, what about?
That's my particular
let me give
opinion.
you- What about Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts?
They can
Those
use it.
are nonprofits, you know, who are for the children in this town, and if they're doing fundraising, it's for their trips or whatever. They would still be off limits, because they're not,
Well,
it's not a town
I'm
use.
trying to make a compromise, I guess you'd say, because there's the one thing, which is no one should use it just for emergencies, and it'll distract people. And then Larry and I feel like, well, we have this great thing, it's not being used that much, why not have it be used for good? And then you're saying that's going to open up the door, we can distinguish it, that it's a town property, that it will help nonprofits, at least now, that will at least have money that will go back into advancing
But where would,
town things.
okay,
like
where
the-
would we put this sign for use? I mean, when it was used for, you said
Like
it
Old
was used
Town
for
Day.
Old
Old
Home,
Day.
Old Home Day? Where was it?
Central
Old
Fire Station.
fire station.
At the old fire station.
But that
Now,
was
we're gonna sell that and it's
recreation.
gonna go away.
that was
And that
recreation.
was a
That's not where, it's
town.
not where we're parking the sign, that the question is, who can use it?
Yep.
Not where we park it.
But it's like the website, we
Lisa,
don't let
Jim.
everybody post on the website.
All right, so I'll just pull
Okay,
it in
hold
and
on.
nobody can use it
Hold
then.
on, Jim?
It'll just
A
be for
couple of things that
emergencies.
you have
Hold
to
on,
take
Larry.
into account with that sign, and I actually believe it should only be used for emergency or major important information, is, first of all, it should be, because it should be used for important information, road closure, emergency situation, if people get used to seeing it flashing continuously, week after week with different messages, they no longer see it. They become sight blind to it. It then will become ineffective and useless when we really need it. What it really should have happen is, like the thing in the junction when they closed the West Main Street to do,
Right, to do the
put
garden.
something here on that, and then the sign disappears so that people don't get used to seeing it there and just and blowing by it. And that is its main purpose. If we keep, there are enough good, worthy organizations in this town that sign could be in use 24/7, 365 days. What happens is it very quickly becomes something you drive past, and when there's an emergency warning on there, nobody sees it. Because everybody goes, oh, there's still, the sign's flashing, did you get a chance to read it? The other thing we do need to do at some point is decide locations where it would be best used or set up for when there is important information. We have a lot of other ways, like the sign out front, which is great for advertising, bake sales, fundraisers, the town museum is open. We have one of those here. We have another one at the transfer station.
Yep.
And there's one on 2 Amesbury Road that's going to have to be moved because we no longer own 2 Amesbury Road.
Right, but the property owner did say that we would be allowed to keep it there.
Right, but at some point, it'd be nice if there was something towards the southern end of town. To me, I'm sure Larry won't agree, the sign with the lights up needs to only be used when it's really important.
Was it used for triple E spraying, notifying people when?
Yes.
It was.
Good.
Yes.
Good, okay.
And that is an important message to be getting out to people.
Yeah,
Was
you know,
used for
if,
Old Home Days. I'm just mentioning that.
no, for triple E spraying, if it were set up someplace on 108, triple E spraying is gonna happen on thus and such date, please make sure you've, on your way to work, you close your windows
Yeah, and keep your pets inside.
and keep, exactly. That's what it should be for. It should not be for, the planning board is having a bake sale to raise money for law books.
Or conservation is celebrating Arbor Day.
Exactly.
I think the key thing to note is, this thing's new, we're talking about what we're gonna do to move forward. If you tell me that Old Home Day was on there 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, I didn't even realize it, but.
Neither did I.
But that was passed, what are we gonna do moving forward? And just so we don't
And what you
spend
said
the
is that-
entire night talking about this.
What you said is a perfect example of why it needs to be used judiciously. You drove past it probably once or twice a day,
Yeah, yeah,
and you don't even know if something that you were
involved, yeah.
heavily involved with
The-
was on there.
I
You know,
don't think
the-
I drove by it while
And-
it was there.
And the only other thing I would add is, to me, this is a tool, and sometimes you have a tool in your toolbox that doesn't come out for a long time. It's not that the tool's not valuable, it's not that you're not getting full value out of the tool, it's just that you don't need the tool. So my thing, I don't think we have to sit there and make motions, but I think for me, the clarity is, and there's no reason this couldn't be a case-by-case basis if we really get confused, but I think the bottom line is, that to me is an emergency usage or high importance message board. And I think I agree with Jim, I don't know where else we stand with the rest of the board.
Well, that was where I stood with it as well, so.
Sounds like we have at least 3 that buy into it. And I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with, as we're getting used to this, if Diane's got a request and she sends us an email because she's unclear, I think she'll be clear the next time what'd you say, the planning board bake
Bake
sale?
sale, yeah.
Which is a huge deal every year. But, somebody comes to her with a bake sale, she can say, sorry, I can put you on the website, I can put you on cable, the email and all that good stuff, but I can't put you there. But if she has that one that's in between to her that she's unclear, she can email us and pull the board in that respect.
Agreed. Okay, so we're good on that one, right?
Can we put this on the message board?
Now on to another request. We have a,
Just to clarify, the vote was 3 and 2. You still sticking with
the
yours?
understanding was 3-2. We didn't have a motion, so we didn't have a vote.
Okay.
So we do believe
But I
that,
just want people to see how we feel.
yep. So based on the people's responses, myself, Jim, and Matt are in favor of keeping it for high importance, high alert information.
Yep.
And Kate and Larry is open to using it for other purposes, including non-town business.
The only business that supports the town.
Okay, so,
As I
and
said
then
earlier.
Kate is a little more of a restriction where it has to be something that,
Yeah, it's not just random, like
Okay.
there's a karate class next week or something like that.
all right, so we have received a request for use of town hall. It's not
On
our
a
first
similar
one.
note,
Yep.
However, this is an authorized use. We even have a form that allows people to request it.
but every single week?
This is once a month.
Oh, okay.
The request is to be able to use it the first Wednesday of each month from 6:15 to 7:45. It's a Cub Scout Den meeting for kindergarteners with their adult partners, parent, guardian, whatever. So maximum of 16 to 20 people.
For how long do they want it for?
Essentially, indefinitely. The Cub Scout Den had been meeting in a church in town. Unfortunately, the area that they were meeting in has a mold issue, so they are unable to continue to meet there. They are already maxed out at the Memorial School with the rooms that are available for use with the other Cub Scout dens. So there's no more room at the Memorial School where they can meet.
The only concern I have, I believe Historical Society 4 times a year uses that Wednesday is the only night this room is available. So it's going to probably complicate other people.
Well, it's
who
not
might-
every Wednesday they're looking for.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, it's just the first Wednesday.
okay.
The first Wednesday of the
Okay.
month. It's once a month.
Okay, gotcha.
And this is so temporary until their situation
I
clears
have
up?
no idea. Sounds like it
Yeah,
could be
They're
longer.
they're asking to be able to use it on a recurring, with a no deadline use. Now, we can set a deadline if we want, give
Review it, ask
6
how it
months
goes.
or a year or whatever to say, okay, let's say we can let you meet here until you can find a more permanent location. We can do whatever we want.
I like the
As a
idea of
board.
a 6-month, let them use the hall. The Historical Society's had its last,
Yeah, they did
for
for
the
this
year.
year. Yep.
so we know for the most part it's free on Wednesdays, though there will be, I think it's in December, there's a joint loss meeting, January.
And they meet at 5:30 and out there by 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Let me explain, there is no conflicts between anything at this point. I checked the calendars. The
So did I.
Historical Society will probably meet usually on the third Wednesday. I mean, we change that depending on when the presenter is available. So don't worry about them at this point.
They have insurance?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What's the liability insurance with this?
The PAC does have
Okay, good.
insurance.
And
Is that a policy for use of this room, though? The insurance?
better find
No,
out.
Apparently, it's a policy to use any town building lately.
the only thing,
That's my question, is
Have to have
because
insurance for children.
I'm wondering what the policy is, because I know from firsthand knowledge, groups have used this room without the insurance, but I do know that we've recently asked groups to provide an insurance thing for the use of town buildings. So where is it? What is the,
I don't believe we should, but it's got to be the same across the board.
right,
The Historical Society does
Saying you'd
have,
like the policy committee
insurance.
to look into,
and so does the American Red Cross. They provide us with certificates of insurance, those two.
right.
I'm trying to think of anybody,
Well,
the
American Red
baseball
Cross is
has
like
a
a
certificate of
private-
insurance.
yeah,
I'm
so,
just worried because
I
there's
mean-
children, if they just
Made
trip or
the,
fall, or something happens.
I mean, I do recognize that there's going to be a situation where you're going to have people, to go back to what we talked about, kind of not-for-profit groups that are just trying to help, probably near and dear to our hearts type town things, where they're going to just want to use the room for a meeting, and they're not going to want to invest hundreds of dollars a year to have insurance for somebody who might trip, but at the same time, I do see that it's not a bad thing, obviously, for people to have insurance binders, and Cub Scouts are a large organization, and they would have it, and
Sign waivers.
Red Cross.
yeah, I would imagine that there's some insurance at the council level, if nothing else,
Couldn't we
that
just
they
have them
could
sign a
provide.
waiver?
Well,
Yeah, or
That's
provide
hard-
waivers for
that's
people
hard
who
to
don't
keep
have
up with.
insurance.
the,
They have so many
I would,
kids.
I would just, I would ask, maybe Nancy or Diane can find out from Primex what, not that Primex runs the town, but Primex can tell us what our risk,
Exposure is.
yeah, what our exposure would be. Because as Larry said, we should do the same thing for everybody, you know? I think for some groups, like you said, the Cub Scouts, it's not going to be a big ask. They're going to be like, yeah, we do that all the time. But some other groups, it's going to be a hardship.
I know there is, I believe, a policy in place that we don't rent out the place, not rent, we never got paid, but weddings or baby showers or stuff like that.
Right.
Which we never do, yeah.
We used to, but custodial, whether they're gonna pick up after themselves, so we don't have to pay the
They do,
custodial.
yeah, there
Okay.
won't be any custodial needs.
Okay.
Now, it is worth noting, as we're all taxpayers here, if you use the school,
They have to pay the custodian.
the school, you
big
have to
time.
pay a custodian, you have to pay a usage fee unless it's waived. Like when we use it for rec events, they waive the usage fee because we're all one.
Yeah, and
But-
I believe they do
Yeah.
waive it for the Cub Scouts as
Yeah.
well, for the Scouts.
So, you know, if we're looking at Sanborn as an example, they have costs associated to use, you know, their facilities. So just worth finding out from
But
Primex.
we
I
always
think.
groan when they charge us too.
Oh, exactly, you know.
I mean, it's
but,
for our residents, I don't see a need
Right.
for that. But if there was
But-
damage, then you might want to
Right.
say, we're not going to let you come
You know,
back again.
And to use my correlation, at our last meeting, I had voted nay on use of the fire department for an event. My reasoning was the location of the event, okay? In fact, I had suggested that this might be a more appropriate venue for that event. So this is actually a request for using this particular one. I've already shown that have no issues with using this for that sort of purpose.
I don't have a problem with this one at all, as long as scheduling works out. I'm just curious as to what our exposure would be insurance-wise, so we're doing the same thing for everybody.
And just a quick question, Lisa, as far as 16 to 20 people, I'm thinking most of that is children?
It will be, actually, it'll be slightly more adults than children.
Okay,
Because each child will have an adult,
okay, because I'm
and then you'll
just,
have one or two additional adults, you know, because you could have the Scoutmasters.
I just want to make sure there's supervision, we have the canopies and stuff.
There will be a ton of adults.
Okay, okay,
When it comes to a kindergarten pack, it's every scout comes with an adult.
okay, all right, that's my only concern.
And just so you know, I did volunteer to let them in, so that, because it is at a time when the town hall is closed, because we don't give out keys. So I have agreed that if the board approves, I will be the one to come and let them in.
Move to approve the Cub Scout request to use town hall for a 6-month period.
So just pending approval by the insurance company?
No,
Nope?
I
Oh, I
wouldn't.
thought we needed to check
I
that
don't-
out.
I don't want the insurance company to approve anything. I'm just curious about our exposure.
So we should find that out.
Well,
But either
Obviously,
way,
part
we've
of it.
been letting this, if we find out there is an exposure problem, we can deal with it.
Okay.
But we've,
I mean, we allow the library to use it when they do their space thing up here and
Yeah,
stuff.
and-
Okay.
yeah,
Hasn't been an issue.
that's the
safe,
point.
I'm
This
fine.
isn't something new. This is something we've been doing for years.
I'll second that, by the way.
All right, so Matt seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Well, we said
So
aye.
you're
Said
the,
aye.
okay, I'm just checking. So 4 ayes and I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining. Oh, because conflict of interest?
Yes, because I am,
Okay.
I'm not directly associated with PAC 91, however, I am a committee member on Troop 91,
Okay.
so I'm not taking the vote.
So do we have a contact? Are you going to talk?
The contact is Paul Taylor, but I will, so in his number
Okay, it's on the sheet.
is on here. Yes, so you can just go ahead and give him a call. I was just speaking for it because I was aware of the details.
And actually, since you do not make any money from your generous volunteering with that, you do not have to abstain.
No, but I'm doing it anyways,
Okay.
just, just so there's no question.
Okay.
I prefer to err on the side of caution and abstain or recuse, just if there's a hint that people might think, hey. All right, so that's the request to use town hall. We are on to other business.
No, impact fee.
Impact fee.
Well, according
Which is
to
under other
this,
business.
other business,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
under other business is the impact fee.
Just trying to get things moving.
All right, so there have been back and forth between the school district and the town. However, we have not gotten a definitive answer as to when we will actually get the bond letter that we have been requesting.
Oh. Surprise, surprise.
So that is all I am going to say on this subject. However, we have decided that we are holding on to these checks. They're not in a bank earning interest. We need to get them to the school. We did approach DRA, and they said we could go ahead and, just at least use the previous year.
Yeah.
So that's what we're
The
going,
letter you'd like.
yes.
I
So-
got a response from the auditor, because I wanted, DRA suggested making sure, and she responded tonight, said that's fine.
Okay. So because the balance of the bond was over $1 million last year, the chances that we're overpaying are very slim.
Madam Chair, I will move that we sign the letter to the Sanborn Regional School District. Attention, the Business Administrator, Matthew Angel, and I'll read it in full since it's very short. The Board of Selectmen is submitting the impact fees collected in 2019, even though we have not received a letter outlining the capital apportioned costs related to growth in the Sanborn Regional School District for 2019. We have included last year's school letter in its place for your accounting purposes. Please find enclosed Newton's submission of impact fees, including accrued interest in the amount of $22,991.42 to be applied to the 2004 new high school bond payment. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Should you have any questions, please call. Move to sign.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are still working on getting that letter just to have for our accounting purposes, but we wanted to move this along in the meantime. All right, so our next item, okay,
Jerry.
I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking of John Hancock.
John Hancock, Jerry.
so as you are all aware, we did find out that the former fire department, fire station, is not on commercial land, it's on residential A. However, we do have a party that may be interested, but if so, they would want to use it for commercial use. So we received a letter from their agent explaining what it is that they want to do, which is essentially just to use it for vehicle storage, light automotive repair, and internet sales. The reason they're sending this to us is they are asking us if we would be willing, let's see, where is it? I saw it on here somewhere. Okay, so they would like us to contact them with any questions, and about the process for converting the building to a productive, tax-paying commercial use.
So I guess what I don't understand is why aren't they talking to our realtor?
They have.
Yeah, they had a showing this morning, and we think,
So
we
is-
hope.
is
left
there
them
a-
to
Yes, I saw
defraud.
people going in there.
Is there an offer?
Not yet, but
They want to know what your feelings are on what they're trying to do, because it is not commercial. They want it to be commercial.
Yeah. So what
That's
is it?
not our choice.
Residential or something else?
It's residential A right now. That's how it's zoned.
Well,
Well, that's not up
it's
to
zoned
us.
residential A, but remember, it is pre-existing non-conforming use of residential A property.
Right.
That carries a 2-year statute of limitations, if you would, if it's not used again for the same type of purpose, it reverts to residential A. Now, one could make two different arguments. One could make an argument that the town's use has been non-conforming. It has not been structural, the structure has not been empty for 2 years, so that it is entitled to continue to be non-conforming use. Or say that it's reverted, it reverts back to residential A, in which case there would have to be a site plan developed for it, which would then go to the planning board. It would be summarily denied because the planning board does not, well, the planning board has the right to oversee site plans. It does not have the right to that
Rezone.
change of use.
Yep.
The ZBA, the denial from the planning board would kick it to the ZBA, who does have the authority to permit non-conforming use. Then comes back to the planning board for all the other land use aspects. ZBA would only give a waiver for
Variance?
a variance for the non-conforming use. Planning board,
Now, what conditions would they typically grant that variance for?
7, is it the 7,
5.
5? So there's 5, I don't have them committed to memory, but there's, there's 5,
Hardship on the land, and you have to meet all, I believe it's all of them, or 3 of the 5.
so basically, the zoning board would vote, so this person, this entity would give a presentation saying, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we meet all 5, hopefully meet all 5 of
Right.
them. In their proposal, ZBA votes, gives them a variance, and they're off.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate here. I don't know who these people are, so I feel free with doing this. It's going to be hard for them to want to purchase property unless they know they can actually use it for the purpose that they're intending. So would the board be willing to consider, say, a conditional offer or purchase based on
I would assume that's what we would
ZBA approval,
Yeah.
right? That's what we would, and I'm just making sure that that is something that the board is willing to entertain.
Well, our realtor would have to bring that proposal to us, but it would make sense to me that any proposal for commercial use of that property, somebody that didn't want to tear it down and build a lovely McMansion, but for commercial use, would submit a P&S that stipulated that as the first condition is that it has to be able, they have to be able to get the variance to do commercial.
Okay, because they can't go for a variance unless they actually own the
That's the
property,
problem. How
correct?
does that work
That's
then?
not correct.
That's not,
So-
okay, see, that's
So,
why I'm asking.
I'm not going to play devil's advocate, I'm going to give free advice, not as a, free advice as a as a selectman or a townsperson, what I would be doing if I was this entity is I'd first be making an offer. And then the offer, as Jim said, there's a P&S. One of the things in the P&S I would, write in there, essentially, I need more information. There's no guarantees in this process, but they could socialize with the planning board, as you said, get kicked to the ZBA. The other thing they have to remember is the ZBA, when they have the hearing, they're gonna invite the abutters.
Right.
So there's gonna be several abutters that conceivably could get up in the meeting and shout from the rooftops that I don't want this anywhere near where my store is, my whatever. That could affect everything. So I think, I think as I read this letter, as a townsperson, as a selectman, none of this bothers me, but they need to do the work. We don't, as a board of selectmen, we're independent of the planning board, independent of the ZBA. We don't take this and go, okay, let's come with us, we'll take you to each of these boards.
Right, no, I
We
just wanted
might-
to know if we would be willing to entertain the conditional sale.
Maybe, I haven't seen an offer yet,
What's the
but,
offer?
but my thing would be, I'm not gonna promise this, but I, as a selectman, townsperson, or whatever, I might even get up at one of these meetings and say, I think this is a good idea, and sit down again, basically.
Right.
So I think, I don't know, does that answer what they're looking for?
It's the most that we could do, really.
Yeah, so
a conditional offer.
we pretty much
We can't
gave
supersede the
them
planning
enough
ZBA.
information for them to move forward with whatever steps they want to take, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Good.
Now, I hate to say this in public, but I might have to eventually anyway, is if I look at the calendar, we're into October, we should seriously consider putting something on the March warrant to essentially, for the town's benefit, change the marketability of this lot.
That I can suggest that the planning board do that.
That would work for a zoning ordinance change?
Right.
Yeah,
To change that to a commercial piece of property.
Yeah.
I agree. If you could have that for us so that we can review it and get it on, planning board will do it.
I'm going to suggest that the planning board do it proactively.
Right.
Because the planning board has the ability to put things on the warrant.
And then even if it does get purchased by someone who goes commercial or someone who goes residential, in the future, it could then be sold again and still be conforming commercial.
Well, exactly.
what they-
Yeah.
Well, it's just like a variance from the ZBA to permit commercial use of that property. That variance does not expire and it goes with the land.
And I mean, the reason I hate to say this in public right now is this might affect this offer, right? Because they might
Don't
just say,
say
we have to say it eventually, because we really, to make this property more marketable, we really need to take this step and
But if they
Starting
decide,
now.
Get a
if they
conditional
decide to buy
offer,
it
we'll be
and they
fine.
go to the variance board to get the variance, does
And it's
that put
done,
it to
too.
rest?
Right.
Yeah,
well, it'll keep them kind of in business, but what they probably really want is the zoning, the official
And would
change.
it be them coming to us to ask to put the warrant article
I
in?
was just going to
Good.
say, once they have a variance, there's no need.
Yeah, there
Much as
probably
it
wouldn't be a need, but it'd
However,
probably be,
But
If
if
they
they were
wanted to
to, if they
sell.
were to tear down the building and then rebuild,
yeah.
they would need a new variance.
No, they
How
wouldn't.
it goes with the land?
The variance is for the land, not for the building, not
Oh,
for,
okay.
not for the use. The variance, just like a conditional use permit, goes with the land unless there's one restricted conditional use permit. But variances and conditional use is the land.
Okay.
So
ZBAs and planning boards don't care what the building is. It's the land use.
So if they put in an offer, then, and the board accepts, then they can purchase it, go to the ZBA and,
Right, but
Right.
again,
They
there-
can-
there's still no guarantees that they'll get
No,
a
no, I
variance.
know.
But
So,
they can conditionally purchase it.
yes,
Right.
and there's still no
They can wait.
guarantee that there would be a variance granted. So having the planning board, move forward with a warrant to be prepared for the,
Yeah,
would still be a proactive way to handle
Well,
it.
I think that's proactive for the town.
Right.
Correct.
Just in case, because quite
but
honestly,
what if they vote no? Does that affect the variance?
It would not affect a variance, whether or not a variance is issued.
Okay.
However, it would force the variance, to happen, or, for another appeal for a variance, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a situation of, if these people are serious about it, they want to pursue both, I guess,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, so we're done with the possible use. Gave as much info as we can as selectmen. We have an announcement, trick or treat. There's,
actually, don't we need to move this?
no, because last year,
That's right. yes.
we made it to be the same date and time
Yep.
every year until some future board
Forever.
decides to change it.
Perpetuity.
Yes.
Forever.
So, trick or treat, October 31st on Halloween, 5 PM to 8 PM. This year and every year until somebody in the future decides to change it.
Is trunk or treat known yet?
It's going to be the 19th, weather permitting, 26th as a rain date. I think the only reason there hasn't been an official announcement is because I think they're waiting, don't quote me on this, for the school to give the final sign off
Okay.
on use, because it's going to be at the school.
Yeah, there's actually several Halloween themes. So we have the trick or treat, we have the trunk or treat. The Boy Scouts host a Halloween party at the Memorial School for the young students on 25th. So lots of activities for the kids for Halloween. Next item,
All supported by the ADA.
approval of minutes.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the public and non-public minutes dated September 17th, 2019.
Anyone agree
I'll
with them?
second.
Okay, seconded by Matt. Any discussions, errors, omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the public hearing minutes dated September 17th, 2019.
I second the motion.
I'm sorry. The first one was non-public and public dated September 17th.
The next one is
And the
public
second one-
hearing.
Oh, public hearing, there we go.
Yes.
Okay, I needed that clarification, thank you. And that was seconded by Kate?
Yep.
All right, any errors, omissions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And the non-public session meetings, I've reviewed it. Anybody have any reason to, or see any reason
To unseal.
to unseal? Or any reason not to keep them sealed is really the, I'm going to say no, so we will move on. All right, we have our other,
Oh, I'm glad you had yours up.
as, there you go. You two, don't.
Make a motion to sign vendor manifest dated October 1st, 2019, in the amount of $63,073.84.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to sign fire rescue manifest dated October 1st, 2019, in the amount of $1,395.
Second the motion.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Make a motion to sign payroll manifest for pay period September 15th, 28th, 2019, with the pay date of October 3rd, 2019.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to sign vendor manifest dated October 1st, 2019, in the amount of $529.23.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jim signed that, and he signed these two. All right, motion for,
Move to adjourn?
Second.
at 8:44 PM. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.